had some questions about diet, trying to do diet in layman's terms. And I'm not much of a dietitian, or a dietitian at all, rather. And truthfully, I've always been a little bit lazy about diet. I kind of know the basics of what I need, but I have never ever tracked macros. I have never ever tracked my intake of really anything, calorie or otherwise. The only thing that I've ever kind of loosely tracked is my protein intake. So when people talk about macros, they're the main elements that comprise your food. So there's carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Those are the macros. And depending on what you're doing, you'll have different or varying levels of those macronutrients. If you are into weight training, it's good to have high protein intake, because essentially protein is just long chains of amino acids. They're all put together kind of like Legos. So you got different types of proteins that you ingest. Your body takes apart those proteins and reallocates them into making more of you. So building up the muscle tissue, building up bone tissue, building up connective tissue, and so on and so forth. Your body decides how it's going to do that, and in what proportions and what rates. But when you're going through and you're weight training, you're adding a physical stimulus, right? So you're actually tearing apart the muscle tissue. So growth doesn't actually happen in the gym. Growth happens after. So when you're in the gym, what you're actually doing is you're tearing yourself down. You're tearing your muscle tissues apart, putting tiny rips and tears in through the tissue, taxing the system. The growth all happens afterward, right? So that's why having protein, immediately after a workout is important, because you want to give your body, the fuel and the components that it needs to repair itself, because you've just got done thrashing your body in the gym, and now you need to recover and heal and repair. So the only thing I've ever really paid attention to in terms of tracking anything is protein, right? So the rule of thumb, and this is just a general rule of thumb, right? I know there's some literature and some other stuff out there that disagrees with this right now, and that's fine, but the general rule of thumb is a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you would, throughout every single day, throughout the day, take in over a total of 150 grams of protein. Obviously, if you're bigger, then you take in more. So if you're a 300-pound lifter, throughout the course of the day, you would consume 300 grams of protein. Now, if you want to hear some cool nutrition advice, or want to get a little bit more detail and whatnot, there's a lot of material that's out there from other sites and other YouTubers and people that have way more insight than I do. In terms of diet, the general recommendation is to take as much of your intake as you can through your food, through your diet, right? Actual food, because actual food is going to be a little bit better than supplements and things like that. Meal replacement, whatever. No one, as much as I rely on protein shakes and all that stuff, nobody should be taking the preponderance of their intake through their supplements, because it's exactly what the word implies, right? Supplement. You're supplementing your diet with additional stuff, because let's be honest, trying to mow down 300 grams of protein in a single day just on diet alone would be a little difficult. So anyway, so that's, proteins is really king when you're talking about trying to gain muscle mass, gain size, gain strength. Same thing with carbs too. I know that people have a war on carbs, You know, depending on what your particular goal is, but assuming you're watching this, you're probably more inclined to be on a powerlifting kick, and or just trying to get big, right? Trying to get big, trying to get strong. So if you're trying to get big, trying to get strong, just take in a lot of everything, and you're going to be safe. The nice thing about a powerlifting, you know, diet or whatever, is there really is no diet. You pretty much eat whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you want to. Now, obviously, there are some left and right limits with that. You know, you can't eat just whatever the hell you want all the time and expect to look like Adonis. That's not really going to happen. So if you have certain physique goals in mind about how you want to look, then obviously you got to tailor your intake to, you know, be a little bit more restrictive. You know, so if you're just eating fucking everything you can get your mouth on, well, you're probably going to be a little bit fatter and carry a little bit extra mass. You know, if you're eating fairly lean and not putting a lot of extra crap in your body, then you probably will be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. You know, it all depends. So it's a combination of diet and the amount of output too. You know, how much you're actually exerting yourself. Because when it comes to gaining weight or losing weight, it literally is a mathematical equation of calories in versus calories out. And, you know, if you're taking more than you're burning, you're going to gain. And if you burn more than you take, you're going to lose. That's how it works. We're at Z's place, so we're going to take a pause on this for a moment. All right, we got Z. All right, so left off talking about protein, right? So protein's king. You want to make sure you're taking in, you know, enough protein. Like I said, rule of thumb, gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now there are different types of proteins, you know, whey, casein, soy, you know, whatever. So if you're, you know, have some allergies or things like that, maybe you can only take soy. But generally, if you're just an average healthy male or healthy adult or teenager, you'd be just fine with whey. Whey protein, very prevalent, easily manufactured, not all that expensive, and good to go. There's also something called casein. I have no idea what the process is to make that, but it breaks down a little bit slower. So that's something that's pretty good for, you know, you take at night before you go to bed. You know, take a casein shake, and then the idea is that it slowly breaks down overnight, and you're not putting yourself into a point where, you know, you don't have something kind of leaching into your system. Because obviously, you know, the time that you go to bed is a big window of time, right? So maybe you're asleep for 8 hours or something like that. That's 8 hours of nothing coming into your system. So if you take a big casein shake before you go to bed, the idea is that you're breaking down and absorbing some protein throughout the time that you're sleeping. Now, I'm a huge fan of carbs, right? I talked about the macros. Carbs is one of them. Carbohydrates are important because it's one of your body's most prevalent sources of energy. You know, I'm not exactly sure what the metabolic process is for breaking down the carb, but I know that carbohydrate intake is important for glycogen production. Glycogen is something that your muscles use for fuel, right, for energy. So having good glycogen stores is important for performing maximally. So I'm not afraid of carbs in any way, shape, or form. Carbohydrates are probably the preponderance of my diet, as you've seen with all the rice and everything else that I try to take in. And I just feel like having all that in my system keeps me properly fueled. What do you think?
I can't eat carbs.
You got a war on carbs?
Yeah, I'm a fat body.
So Z's trying to be a little bit more mindful for, you know, how he looks, trying to be aesthetically pleasing. We're rolling into the beach season, so he's trying to get his summer sexy on. So he's being a little bit more mindful than I am. Me, I have about this many fucks to give, and I'm already married, already got 4 kids, so I've got exactly zero people that I want to try to please. So for me, it's just about moving weight. Then the last macro, right? We talked protein, we talked carb, and fats. Fats are another source of fuel, right? Your body can break that down pretty easily for fuel. I think it tends to prefer the carbohydrates, but you can definitely fuel yourself pretty well on fats as well. Therein lies, I think, the whole ketogenic diet, which again I don't understand, but you know, you can basically fuel yourself off protein and fat. Fats are also good because your body uses them to help facilitate other things, right? So there's some stuff that your body develops with fats. I think it helps the lining of like neurons and some other stuff. So fats are an important facet for your diet as well. You want to make sure that you have some fats in your diet, and obviously there's healthier fats and unhealthier fats. Something like avocados is a highly fatty food, but it's like the healthy type of fats. Again, I don't really concern myself too much with the nuances of diet. I have in my mind generally what's a fairly clean diet and what's a fairly, you know, not clean diet. So for the most part, you know, I'm pretty restricted in what I eat. I don't eat generally a lot of crap, sugars and treats and candies and all that kind of shit. I generally stick with mostly just protein and carbs. So in terms of my diet, I don't really consider a meal unless I've got some sort of protein in there, right? So, you know, breakfast I have some eggs, or have something, you know, something with a good amount of protein in there, some kind of a meat. And also, for the rest of my meals, unless I have some form of a meat, you know, chicken, pork, hamburger, steak, something like that, I don't even consider it a meal. So for all of my meals, I make sure that I have some kind of an animal protein in there, and then a decent amount of carbs to help keep me fueled. And that's basically the long and short of my diet. It's nothing really exciting. It's nothing really sexy. Most of what I eat is very plain. You know, just plain rice with some tuna fish, or some pasta and tuna fish, or, you know, steak and potatoes, or, you know, some combination of therein. But most everything I eat is not really all that well, you know, not seasoned. I don't eat spicy stuff. I don't eat a lot of variety. By and large, every single day I eat more or less the exact same thing all the time. But in doing so, it gives me some consistency with what I eat, and I know that, at least for my body and for what I require of it, what I eat tends to work pretty good. So anyway, so hopefully that's some ideas for you guys in terms of diet, and talking a little bit about what it takes. You know, overarching, I like to make sure I have a lot of carbohydrates and a gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then, you know, drink a lot of water too. If your body's 70% water, you want to make sure that you keep yourself well hydrated. You know, tissues perform better. So if you want a little bit more information on diet and stuff, check out Stan Efferding. He's got some good YouTube stuff on diet. Might give you a little bit more detail, and just poke around a little bit. You know, I am by no means an expert, and the things that I've said are really just from my experience, not from any, you know, textbook or anything like that. So there's a good chance that something I said isn't exactly right, but like I said, this is more of just for general ideas than, you know, take it to the bank. And all right, guys, you know, that's a video in for the nutrition piece, at least for right now. If you guys have some more pointed questions regarding nutrition, I'll do the best that I can to answer those. Some of the, you know, the metabolic pathways and some of the specific processes by which things happen, I may not be that much help for you. But kind of in summation of what I was talking about, in terms of diet for powerlifting or diet for gaining, protein is king. So you want to make sure that if you're hitting it hard in the gym and you're working real hard, you're taking in a good amount of protein. But really, you need to make sure that you're taking in a good amount of everything. And again, specifically, if you're trying to kind of build up a bit, I'm not going to be that much help for any kind of a diet or like losing, because essentially in the times of my life where I've gone to try to lose weight, I don't follow a specific diet plan. I just reduce my intake for everything and keep my activity level high until I start dropping weight, and then I drop however much I want to drop, and I go from there. So for the people that know me, my friends, I've always had a hard time with how much or how easy it has been for me to kind of gain and lose weight. But in reality, I don't think that gaining or losing weight is really all that difficult if you're dedicated to it. Now, I know that there's probably some people that may not jive with, that will say, well, I've tried really hard to gain weight, or I've tried really hard to lose weight. And I don't know. Part of my intuition would say that, well, maybe you're not trying hard enough. But I can't make a blanket statement for everybody and not know what your particular situations are, kind of what's going on. That's for you to decide. You'll be able to look in the mirror and really tell yourself that you're doing everything that you can to meet your goal. I know that a lot of times in the people that I've spoke to, specifically in terms of gaining weight, they tell me, oh, I'm just a hard gainer. And then come to find out they really just aren't putting that much into what it actually takes to gain. In all reality, gaining a fair amount of weight or losing a fair amount of weight are both pretty difficult. If you're actually trying to put on some mass, it's work. It becomes uncomfortable. It's taxing. It's annoying to have to eat as constantly as you have to eat. So just bear all that in mind when you're talking or thinking about gaining or losing weight. Both routes are difficult, and it takes a little bit of time. But just to end this out, as I talked about, protein is king. I do have a relationship with MaxFit Nutrition in Crestview, and right now I'm taking the Alpha Fusion protein, and I'm taking that several times a day. What I like to do with that is I have an oversized shaker. I'll put in 90 or 120 grams of protein, so 3 or 4 scoops. Mix it with a bunch of water, and I'll just sip on that consistently throughout the day. And so by the end of the day, I try to make sure that that's gone. And I do that on top of whatever my other dietary intake is. So I eat my normal lunch, I eat my normal breakfast, I have a couple protein bars throughout the day, and I'm still sipping on that shake kind of throughout the day. I enjoy doing it that way because it makes it easy to fit in an additional 90 or 120 grams of protein into the diet. And it's also kind of a slow saturation into my system. I'm slowly taking it in. It's not, a shot of 60 grams all at once. It's 5 grams, 10 grams as I sip it here and there. And I'll walk around with the office or in the office with my shaker with me, from point to point or meeting to meeting. And I bring my little shaker with me. I take little sips here and there. And I've found that that's a very good way for me to make sure that I have all that additional protein that I require for my personal health goals. So if you guys are in the Northwest Florida area and you're near the MaxFit Nutrition in Crestview, I highly recommend you go through and pick up some supplements and find something that kind of meets your specific goals. I do enjoy the Alpha Fusion. It mixes super easy. It tastes really good as well, and it lasts kind of all throughout the day. So I know that if any of you guys that have been exposed to protein for a little while, if you kind of let it set for a little while, it seems like it gets a little funky. My Alpha Fusion, I just mix it with some cold water in the morning, and I carry it with me all day. And sometimes I don't finish it until later on in the evening, even after I've gotten home from work. 6, 7 o'clock. I'll finish it late into the evening. And I think I don't get any of that funky notes or undertones that can happen with shakers. So I'm really enjoying the Alpha Fusion for me. And so, like I said, if you guys go into the MaxFit Crestview MaxFit Nutrition in Crestview rather, and mention my name, Brett Arbic, you'll get 10% off of your order. So hopefully that'll be a little incentive for you guys to pick up the stuff that you need. I hope the video helped. I know that it's not super all-inclusive. If you guys have any pointed questions, something that I might be able to answer, or if you have some questions regarding certain meals, things like that, I might be able to do a couple videos on some meals that I really enjoy and that have helped me in my weight gains. And then I can also talk a little bit maybe about some of the stuff that I do for weight loss, although that probably is not as detailed. Like I said, I typically just really restrict my intake until I just start dropping weight. So Not a real big mystery there. But like I said, any questions, comments, leave them below. I'd love to get back to you guys and answer that either in the comment section or in a specific video for the question. Yeah, I appreciate you guys checking out. Like, share, subscribe. We're up to 87 viewers right now, or subscribers, and I'm super excited about that. We're edging ever closer to that 3-digit mark. And again, once we get up there, for all of you guys that are interested, I'll release a specific video kind of detailing my training program that I'm on right now. And I've made some pretty good growth and gains off of it, so I'm quite satisfied with what my training program has been. So I'll make a video at 100 subscribers to share that and kind of detail out the whys and whats and all that, so to give you some insight into what the program is. So if you are without a program, that might be able to help you. You could take it, use it, adapt it however you see fit. But I think that might be kind of a cool, interesting video to do as well. So I'm looking forward to shooting that one once we get up to 100 subscribers. I appreciate all the love and support, guys. It's meant a lot to me, and you know, I'm really looking forward to this meet that I got coming up. So stay tuned for some more videos regarding the meet and all that entails. Remember, guys, no matter what it is you think you can't do, or whatever it is you believe is holding you back from the things you want, train despite. See ya.